We're going to end things on a more serious note. In many ways, it's a scary time in our country. In particular, there's been a lot of conversation around gun violence and public safety. We're frankly really proud at MetaProp to have backed a company and to be working so closely with a company that is directly, every day, making schools safer. I'd like to welcome Sunny from Aegis AI.
So I grew up in South Africa, Johannesburg, South Africa. If you ever visit, you'll find that it's quite an idyllic place at first glance, much like any other city you would find in Western Europe or North America. But if you just spend a little bit longer there, you'll find that things are a little bit more tense. People have their defenses up, and nobody really walks alone at night. Almost every home is protected by electric fences, metal cages, and private security. You see, South Africa has one of the world's highest rates of gun violence. And growing up, I heard harrowing tales of friends and friends of friends who robbed at gunpoint, carjacked, and even fatally shot. Growing up, my biggest fear was a home intrusion. And because I grew up with this fear, I developed a lifelong passion for wanting to address the issue of gun violence. 20 years ago, one of our close family friends was fatally shot in his own home in Johannesburg. And because of that, our family decided to immigrate to the United States. And while the United States is a much safer country, we have a significant gun violence issue of our own. Over the past 5 years, there's been 150,000 shootings in the United States, leading to over 71,000 deaths. In fact, over 10 times the number of Americans have been killed due to domestic gun homicides. They have been killed by enemy action due to the global war on terror stemming from 2001 to present, which is absolutely mind-blowing. As a Marine Corps officer, I was always taught to take bias for action. And therefore last year, I decided to put together a team to figure out how can we best use technology to save lives during gun violence incidents. We interviewed law enforcement leaders across the country, and we found that the biggest pain point in gun violence response was a lack of timely and accurate information. With information, law enforcement leaders will be able to respond immediately to a gun violence threat with pinpoint precision. And with information, your building occupants can take the immediate measures to make the critical decisions they need to maximize their chances of survival. Instead, these situations are marred by mass chaos and confusion because nobody knows what's going on. So if you're a school superintendent or the director of security at a commercial occupier or a commercial property manager, what are your options? Well, you can start with metal detectors. These things typically cost somewhere between $5,000 to $30,000, but then you need to hire an FTE to man them full-time during working hours. Worse than that, it creates huge entry bottlenecks for your staff entering into the building during working hours. On top of that, it doesn't really add in incremental value if somebody decides to just ignore the metal detectors and start shooting. You can opt for potentially acoustic or sound-based gunshot detection systems. This technology basically identifies the sound of a gunshot when a trigger is pulled. But then you have to install expensive sensors throughout your building that can quickly become cost prohibitive. And on top of that, it really provides limited value in terms of providing that real-time information as the situation unfolds. Lastly, you'd opt for armed security. But then you're hiring FTEs that are doing nothing 99% of the time. And think about it, would you really want to work or learn in an environment that feels like you're walking into a fortified military compound? So if you really want to invest in a security solution that was cost efficient, non-intrusive, and provides end-to-end value during a gun threat situation, there are really no good options. Until now. Aegis is the world's first security solution that can begin triggering law enforcement response and early warning as soon as a weapon is drawn. Our deep learning software connects with your existing security camera systems, which means no hardware installation is required, and we can identify gun threats with well over 99.9% accuracy. I want to share some screen captures of the Aegis model running on real-life security camera crime scenes. As you can see, it works in a variety of challenging environments, such as a black gun on a black shirt, or some lower resolution camera frames. So what makes Aegis so revolutionary compared to existing security solutions? Well, first of all, it's cost-friendly, just like I mentioned earlier. There's no hardware installation required, and at $20 per camera per month, it costs a tiny fraction what armed security or existing technologies would cost. It's non-intrusive, which means that unlike metal detectors, millimeter microwave scanners, and armed security, your building occupants aren't going to feel like they're walking through a TSA checkpoint every time they come to work. Most importantly, it provides life-saving capabilities. It provides that early warning so your building occupants can immediately trigger defensive evacuation measures, and provides that real-time critical information to law enforcement so they can respond 2 to 3 times faster than they currently do. So one of the most encouraging things when building this company is the overwhelmingly positive feedback we received from institutions that we worked with. We believe that Aegis needs to be in every single school building and office building in the United States, and we believe that because that's what our users have told us time and time again. So just briefly on the market size, we conducted bottoms-up analysis on the real-time gun detection market in terms of based on our pricing strategy, and found that it's an $8.5 billion total available market. In addition, an outside market research agency conducted some research on the overall video analytics segment and found that this is estimated to grow 34% CAGR over the next 5 years, which presents a really exciting opportunity for us. So over the past several months, we've been running like the wind. We've already onboarded 7 institutional customers with 216 cameras under implementation. Now here's the kicker. Our company did not exist 9 months ago. These 7 customers that we're working with right now alone represent at least $500,000 in ARR potential, and we expect that by summer of this year, we'll hit $100,000 in run rate ARR. Just briefly about our team. My name is Sunny Tai. I'm the CEO and co-founder. I spent 9 years in the United States Marine Corps. After I came back from Afghanistan in 2012, I attended business school at the University of Chicago before going into management consulting and starting Aegis. My co-founder and our chief product officer, Ben Giomek, is here with me. He's somewhere in the back. He spent 4 years at Microsoft leading large teams of data scientists and AI engineers. And he was the first employee at a business unit that he helped scale from 0 to $110 million in revenues in less than 18 months. Min Tran is our chief data scientist. He brings extensive machine learning, computer vision experience to the table on the academic side. Jacob Weiss is our wonderkind backend engineer, 24-year-old that recently graduated from Washington University in St. Louis's computer science program, #1 in his class. Senia and Jorge are 2 University of Chicago MBAs who help us out with growth strategy and business development, respectively. I'd like to leave you here with my favorite quote from an anthropologist, Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. It is my hope that through our relentless efforts and your support, we too can be these citizens that help make our communities a little bit safer. Thank you.